And I was curious, what do you think makes so many people think they can't develop these skills?
No one ever says so. When you're growing up, there's like a cool kid in junior high or high school, and he just is that way. And my experience was I was definitely not that way. And so the things that I was encouraged to work on were maybe a bit of athletics, maybe a bit of academics, but certainly there was no one with like no extracurricular activity or any sort of tutor or training around making friends. That was something that I was just supposed to know how to do. And yeah, it sounds like we may have had a mirrored high school experience of not knowing what to do, say, where to put my hands, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, but I'm very curious. What was it like for you in high school?
So I was actually cool in middle school.
Okay.
I grew up in Canada, but then we moved when I was 13 and I basically lost all of my friends. And these were friends that I had known when I was like 6 years old or so. So I was really confident being myself. And for some reason, when these are people you grow up with all of your life, I didn't feel as scared of their judgment because I knew that they knew me. And then when I moved, I wasn't as able to connect with people. So then I didn't feel confident being myself. So then I got really shy, got much more inward focus. And then I just said, you know what, I'm just going to focus on being the best in school. And I shifted my entire frame of self-achievement towards just academic and achievement because I struggled so much with the social aspect. It was really embarrassing, but I remember one time I brought a friend home from school and my mom started clapping. And she was like, no, this is not, it was whole humiliating. And she was like, Alex made a friend. And she did this in front of my friend who wasn't even a real friend that I felt deeply connected with.
Oh, no.
Partly as a result of that, like I started like looking at other things, which might feel a little bit gimmicky because it felt like, the way I would describe it nowadays, like, is you're hacking certain situations. But I just needed so much of the help just to even start building the confidence to go and be in these social situations. And, at times it is overwhelming because there is so much information out there. But I think the most important thing is like the hope that you can change and you can develop these things.
Yeah, very similar. Kids tend to need something to define themselves by. They'll get them love and attention and all that kind of stuff. And for me, academics came easier. So it was the same sort of thing where I would be the smart one and not worry about athletics or worry about socializing or anything like that. And the advice that does come is often just be yourself, which is like, okay, that's not working.
Yes.
I need a line. I need something to say here. As I've gotten older, and I'm sure we'll get to this, I think it's really helpful to give people early in the developmental stages, like, say this, put your hands here, do this, like very cut and dry tips. But over time, you are learning in a way how to be yourself just without some of the constraints that you picked up, for instance, when you moved, right? Like that gets added onto so many people around middle school. That's an incredibly common experience for people. And then their 20s and 30s are like, can I learn to take these shackles off to not be so restrained when I'm around people? Because somebody teased me in middle school, or my mom clapped when I brought home a friend, or I was beat up or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But we all have these stories.
Yeah, and I remember I was watching one of your videos because one of the things that I always was self-aware about was how other people are viewing me in social situations. And I know you recommended like just trying to be in your body and focus on that instead. And like I would actually try to implement some tips like that, but I definitely needed more help. Because it's not an easy journey. I think that's the other thing.
You're totally right. I'm learning that there's a time and a place for every tip, and the be in your body one it's actually a more advanced tip because it takes a lot of attention to be able to be like, okay, how does my butt feel while you're panicking about like my mouth is dry, I don't know what to say, I'm out of a joke, that person didn't laugh at what I just said last time.
You start feeling the blood rushing to your head.
Your blood rushing in your head. You're like, be in my body. This is not a good place to be. I just need something to say. So yeah, your journey mirrors my own, which is like, we need to start with, what do I say when I've frozen in conversation that can get a laugh and help me to loosen up? And then in time, it's like, okay, now can you be in your body that you're a little bit more comfortable? You're 20 minutes into conversation. Can you feel your butt on the chair and start to relax?
Yeah. And my sister, on the other hand, was very cool in high school.
Were you the cool one?
And I was not cool, but compared to my sister, you could say I was cool.
It's all relative. To me, I would look at her and I'd look at her, photos she's posting on Instagram, and me and my best friend Melina would be like, why did she skip the awkward phase? What happened to us? Because you always just,
Well, I mean, I also think social media is really misleading in that way, because you see photos of your sibling who maybe you're not that close with and you think, oh, they're the coolest, but you don't really know them on a day-to-day. You kind of see like self-confidence and being in your body. In my head, I see that kind of different from the tips for charisma. And I was curious, you mentioned you've been building your channel for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
In these 10 years where you're just giving millions of people tips on these are 5 things you can do to nail this interview. Is there ever a time where you feel like you're more just analyzing social scenarios, kind of thinking like, okay, what tip, quotation marks, do I use now rather than being in the present moment? Like do those other
100%.
conflict?
Oh yeah, that's one of the tensions that's very alive, I think, when you're first starting is, okay, we know what I'm doing isn't working. I'm not making the friends, I'm not getting the dates, I'm not feeling comfortable in social situations. Let's try feeling our body. Doesn't work. Let's try being ourselves. Doesn't work. Okay. Now what I did is form, when it got really complex, it was like I have a decision tree. First, I will say this. Then if they respond, I will respond with one of 2 things. Then if they go left, I will go with them here, right?
Like a chess.
Are you talking my thoughts out loud right
That's
now?
exactly how I assess situations.
And I wonder if chess is like this too, where you're like, okay, I know how to do the first 4 moves and these are the only possibilities. But if you stay in that non-present mode of being, there's a cap on how comfortable you can feel, how charismatic you can be. So it gets you off the runway, if you will, but then you have to switch out of tips into presence, mindsets, habits, things of that nature. So 100%. I've had entire sections of my life that were like structured in my own head because I'm hyper analytical like that. And that definitely is not where you want to land because it just doesn't feel good to do it that way, even if you're getting good responses.
Can you give an example of something you're being hyper analytical that you had to change?
Oh, sure. I don't know if this is true. You guys can tell me, but the scariest thing for like a teenager, young 20s guy is a woman that he's attracted to. Like that is the scariest thing. And that's where every bit of presence and I'll just be myself goes immediately out the window. So I don't know that I can give you a single experience, but it was just like, I need a line to say. And after the line, I need a joke to tell. And after the joke to tell, I need a way to talk about my work. And so like I could get 6 minutes into conversation and just not at all have been present with the person that I was with. Maybe she was laughing, maybe she was into it, but it was all just like, can I not blow this? And I think that was where it came through most intensely for me. And I guess the downside of that as a result is I wasn't actually vetting if we were vibing. I was vetting if the analytical structure that I had built could get her to like me, but like, were we connecting at that point? And so it didn't have drastic blowups, but it just made it so that one of the things that I've had to develop in the last couple years is I used to think it was always my fault if an interaction was weird. Like if somebody didn't laugh when I thought they should, or if they seemed to walk away or get bored, I was like, damn, I fucked it up again. I screwed it. And it's only lately that I realized, which seems obvious, that people have their own stuff going on. So if we don't get along, perhaps it's something I did, but it's also very likely that they had a bad day, something's going on in their life, somebody's sick in their family. And so I've learned to, at first, take it very personally so that I could develop my skill of charisma. But lately, it's just, it's not personal when there's not an immediate vibe or connection. So if you're interested in the fastest way that I know of to make this stuff effortless, you might be interested in my course, Charisma University. You get full details at the link here, but basically, if you like the YouTube channel and charisma, confidence, building respect is a priority for you, I highly encourage you to click the link, check it out, learn more, and maybe join. Either way, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.